A lot of excitement there in Napa a few nights ago, and it was a fabulous evening. And with me is the lady who was responsible, the lady of the moment on that evening, Frances Ann Solomon, director. Welcome to Now. Welcome to TTT. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Lisa.
Good to have you. And I'm so happy that you got up. I know that it's a task on a morning for people to get up and come here, but whenever you do, we appreciate it so highly. Frances Ann, how are you feeling? How are you feeling?
I feel great. I feel great, particularly last night.
Yes.
There were people in the audience who mattered, you know, because the film was a mandate, as I've said many times. It was a film that was commissioned, if you like, by the late Desmond Allen.
Yes.
In 2010, he called my mother, Anne-Marie Stewart, and he was dying.
Yeah.
And he said that he wanted her to make a film about Ulrich Cross. And as a filmmaker in the family, I stepped in to help my mother, my amazing mother, who became a film producer at that point.
At that time, did you foresee what, which I would describe as an epic now? You know, I was talking to someone earlier today, my makeup artist actually, Arlene, and saying, I don't know if Frances Ann understands probably, or maybe you do, that this is a film that's going to be studied, it's going to be researched, it has transformed, particularly the way you have been able to merge the archival footage. I don't think anyone in the Caribbean has ever done something like that before, merging the archival footage with the shot, the drama that's involved in there. Have you given any thought to that?
Any thought at all? 5 years? No, it just happened. Of course.
No, in terms of it being a seminal piece and a piece that can be used for,
I mean, you don't think like that when you're doing something, but it was quite the journey to come up with a vehicle that would do justice to the story, because it was very important to me that it be both authentic to the man as well as to the times that he lived through, because that is what really made him great.
Yes.
His role in those central times.
And I think not many people realize the part that goes on after World War II.
Yeah.
So tell us about that journey and some of the discoveries that you found.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew that Ulrich was a World War II veteran, highly decorated.
Yeah.
In his lifetime. That was his reputation. What surprised me, and we knew that he had been to Africa and played some roles there, but I was really blown away when I began to really look into the history and how and what it said about Caribbean people, because really Pan-Africanism, which is an ideology that emerged after the war, that all people of African heritage all over the world should come together to rebuild Africa and create a United States of Africa similar to the United States of America, that would monetize the resources for the benefit of African people all over the world. That idea was coined by Caribbean people, by George Padmore, among others. And Ulrich was right there. He was recruited by Padmore to go to Africa and to help rebuild Africa as part of that movement. And he was right in the middle of it, all the way, working with leaders, you know, with African heads of state to rebuild Africa.
And the conversation so far, the premiere and at the screening last night was, we did not know this.
Yeah.
Why didn't we know this? Yeah. Is there a plan to continue in terms of celebrating heroes and bringing history to the screens?
No, I'm going to sleep now for a little while and taking a break. I think, you know, although somebody said to me, you know, we have a long list of people. I'm like, oh, go give me a break, the man. And they were like, yes, but now we have the template, so you just have to churn it out.
It doesn't happen like that, does it? No, because every film I'm sure would be different.
What you're saying is that it needs to be done. You know, that we don't celebrate our own. This is a man who I knew personally. A lot of people were intimately connected to. We had no idea of what he sat on in terms of a life story and a contribution. And there are a lot of people like that among us.
Let's talk about the filmmaking process now, because we've spoken about the story, but they're filmmakers. This is the film festival.
Yeah,
and there are filmmakers out there who are looking at it and say, wow, y'all shot on a train, y'all did all of this. But it really didn't happen like that, did it?
Yes, we
We shot on a train.
We
and all
did
that,
shoot
but
in Trinidad, England, Ghana, and in Canada.
Yes.
And so it was a global film.
Definitely.
It was a small group of us
Yes.
who traveled, Nikolai Salcedo, Leslie Ann McFarlane, Rob McFarlane, Ackley Olton, and myself,
Yes.
who set off intrepid warriors
road
across
trip.
the world
Across
on a
the
road
road.
trip in Ulrich's footsteps. But when it came to actually, and we had very little. I mean, if you think about the scope of what we were doing,
That's what I'm
we got
saying.
support from
Yeah.
Republic Bank, and I have to, all thank you, Republic Bank, for supporting such an important and, as you say, seminal work in terms of representing our stories. But at the end of the day, we had to build England in 1950, build 4 African countries through the 60s. The landscape has
And when
changed.
people see that, they think it's, how can you do this on that budget? Because that would, in Hollywood, that would be a multi-million-dollar budget,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
How did you do it?
In brief, what we did, we used 2 techniques. One was the story, well, 3. The story of the man who drove through the whole thing. And then 2, we shot all the scenes, basically close up, in a studio, which happened to me, my bedroom.
Wonderful, I love it.
Wait, and please respect me still. I'm still an artist, I'm still a professional. And
I think
then
it's wonderful.
we
It's very
built
creative.
around that archive footage of the time. So
Yeah.
that was really the investment, to find archive of the time that would complement the studio footage that we shot.
And that is why, Francis Ann, at the beginning of the interview, I said this piece is going to be studied in schools, in film schools. I'm almost certain around the world as to what you can do and what you can land on of being creative with a budget, and what you've done, in your living room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there time for me to
Congratulations.
say-
Yes, there is time. Go
To say
on.
one more thing?
Yeah.
Well, I had seen something like that done in Oliver Stone's JFK.
But not in the Caribbean.
No, and not on a mini budget. And I was mesmerized when I saw that film, the way that he interwove dramatization with archive of the time for period. And what I wanted to do was to make that the whole style of the film for our stories. Yeah.
Wonderful. Congratulations. I must say I'm very honored and privileged to be
I'm
associated with
honored
the
and
program,
privileged to
with
be
the
associated
with the film, with the film.
I'm honored
with the film.
and privileged to be associated publicly. I want to
We're
say.
gushing. Is this what is it? Women
Mutual
Crush
admiration.
Wednesday? No,
Yes.
today's not Wednesday.
It's
Today's Thursday.
Right. But still, we love each other. We're a good team.
Good job.
Power
Yeah.
to the people.
Power to the
Women.
people. Francis Ann, we have the trailer lined up. We're going to take a look at the trailer right now and come back with the remaining moments with Francis Ann Solomon.
I can't say that I have family to leave behind necessarily. My mother died when I was 13. And not too long after that, my father abandoned all of me. 9 of us. My entire life seemed to change.
What's your name? Kofi Mensah. Kofi Mensah? Yeah, yourself? Ulrich Cross.
Trinidad.
Oh, that's a place.
Ever since I was a little boy, all I ever wanted to do was become a pilot. Flying Officer Ulrich Cross. And now I'm actually here at the RAF, signing up.
Let's just go and kill Hitler. I don't know why you came back to this country. There's nothing here for you. They've been using us. Their men died and they called us. You think they want us here?
Come, let's go. Help me leave England.
There's somebody that I want you to meet. This is Mr. C.L.R. James. Mr. George Padmore.
This young man, Ulrich Cross. We need him. Lovely.
The CIA, the MI6, the intelligence services, you have to understand, building a movement is not easy, Mr. Cross.
I will go to Ghana.
So this is
Ghana, man.
Yes. Welcome to Ghana, my friend.
Our President Kwame Nkrumah and the people came together to unite Africa.
At last, Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever!
Independence came to over a dozen states peaceably, but in the Belgian Congo, freedom was followed by rioting and army mutiny, a reign of terror and disorder.
Well, Mr. Bumbutu, things seem to be a bit unstable.
This is my country, the Republic of Congo.
Go well, Mr. Cross, and do big things.
Wow, Francis Ann, just had to take a breath, you know. I was telling you, I feel like a woman who was pregnant, and now that you've delivered the baby, you're like, oh, finally.
And now
it's
the
done.
work starts.
And that's what you said, you know, that's what you said. She said, don't feel like that now. The word said you have to raise the baby, bring the baby, make the baby international.
Socialize it.
Socialize and all of that. Always the workaholic, but I'm so proud of you again. And if you missed it in Movie Town, Port of Spain, it's on Movie Town in San Fernando on the 24th of September, Republic Day. Remember, that's total local, all local films at the film festival. And I think people have been asking for an extra screening of the film.
We're working
on it, so we'll let you know.
Look out for Saturday.
Yeah, so stay on social media, and in the studio here, we'll let you know if we do, in fact, get an extra screening of Hero. But remember, you can go to San Fernando, 8:30 p.m. on Monday. Right about now, I'm going to walk across set here. Thank you, Francis Ann.